Alright guys, today we're doing something that, I haven't really done on my channel ever, and it's something that I kind of wanted to just do. And so basically what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over the greatest baseball video games of all time. Now, FYI, before I get into this video, I am 19 years old, so my prime time of video games was about 2005 to 2013, so that does have an influence on some of my rankings, and I'm not really going to be putting games that came out before 2000 as they just weren't really in my generation. I just really didn't think that they were fun because I never really played them. And so basically, before we get into this video, and we get into these honorable mentions, if you guys hit that like button, hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it as this is kind of a new type of video. And if you like this content, make sure you drop a comment down in the comment section below so I can know that you guys want me to put more content out like this. So anyways, let's get right into the honorable mentions. So our first honorable mention today is going to be actually Super Mega Baseball. Now, Super Mega Baseball is kind of a fun game that kind of came into me the past couple of days, and it's one of the only baseball games that is actually on Xbox, so a bunch of you Xbox kids probably have been playing this game if you like baseball. It's kind of a cheap little $20 game. They just came out with a new one, Super Mega Baseball 3. This game, it's not a bad game in general. It's just that it's not like real-time players because Sony bought all the rights to everything like that. And it really just sucks for any type of studio that's not Sony Pictures. It just kind of hurts because there's not really anything that you can do. But the thing about this game that was so much fun is it's arcadey. It's got a lot of the feel of like the old baseball video games had. So I had to put an honorable mention. It just didn't quite make the list because it doesn't have key game modes like a single player walkthrough and doesn't really have a franchise type thing. It kind of has a little bit of spin-off type thing, but I don't really think it's that fun. So that's why it's in the honorable mention. That's our first one. Our next honorable mention is actually going to be MLB The Show 19. Now, this was a game that was a lot of fun. And so the thing about MLB The Show 19 was it brought me back into MLB The Show. I kind of was away from it for a couple of years, and so I had to put this in the honorable mentions. It's a great game, and it almost made the list today. It just didn't just quite cut it, as it wasn't one of the most classic games to ever come out, although it did kind of have a big revival of MLB The Show fans, including me. I went away from it after MLB The Show 17, and after MLB The Show 19, I fell in love with MLB The Show, so I have to give this one to MLB The Show, so it's an honorable mention today. Let's get into our last honorable mention. So our last honorable mention is RBI Baseball. I don't really know what to say about RBI Baseball because I never really played it, but I've heard it's kind of fun. But the thing about this game is it's just not very realistic. Yeah, it's got players in the game that are actually real players, but the graphics I think are terrible. The gameplay I don't think is a lot of fun, so that's why it just didn't really make the cut. I think this is a very comparable game to something like on your phone, so I don't really like RBI Baseball. I just don't think it was necessarily one of the greatest things ever, so I'm just going to put that in the honorable mentions. Let's get right into our top list. Our bottom point in the list, I actually have Bart Backyard Sports Sandlot Sluggers. Now, this game was on the Wii, that's what I remember it for, but it was also on different consoles. It was multi-platform. This game was so much fun. I used to play this with all my friends back home. We would kind of just absolutely rake and hit baseballs. It was a blast. One of the most cool games I think that I've ever played. I mean, some of the stuff was just so much fun. So many little things that made this game fun. And for its time, it was really cool and it was just a blast. There were so many little things you could do, and you could really just build up your players, play with your friends. They had really a pretty cool system of like franchise, everything like that. So I really liked this game. It kind of had a little bit of a story mode, and so I love this game, and it was one of the best games of my childhood, so that's why it's at the 7th spot today. MLB The Show 17 was such a fun game when it came out, and the thing that really just made this game for me was all of the new stuff that they added. I mean, they just really capitalized on every single category. Road to the Show was so fun in 17, and I thought that it really just broke out. And Diamond Dynasty, also a lot of fun. You had ranked seasons in that game. There was just so many little things that made this game great, and I honestly loved it from start to finish. I played this whole game like crazy whenever I was a kid. Honestly, not too long ago, but a couple years ago, this was so much fun. The thing that was so cool about this game for me is I thought it looked so realistic at the time, and honestly, the graphics from 17 to 20, they haven't jumped that much, and it was really just, it looked so good and so clean. The gameplay felt great on this game. I think it's one of the best MLB The Show's gameplay-wise, so that's why I had to put it on the list, as I felt like it was just so much fun, and that's why it came at the 6th spot today. Alright, so this is a game that I didn't really play that much, but oh my gosh, I've just watched the gameplay on it, and all sorts of stuff like this. This was one of the only baseball games that you could do stuff like this. You could kick the catcher. There were collisions at home plate. It was an absolute crazy game. They had A-Rod on the cover for some games, and they had all sorts of stuff that just made it so much fun. It was on the Xbox and the PS2 and games like that, also the GameCube. This game was just so much fun because it was so arcade-like, and that's what really made it a lot of fun whenever I was a kid, because I loved the brawls. I loved all sorts of stuff like that. There was a really good type of player mode in this game, and it was just a really good time whenever I was playing this. I'd play it with my friends. I'd play with all sorts of stuff, and so basically it really just was an iconic game in my childhood. I thought it was one of the greatest games, so that's why it's at the 4 spot today, as it's one of the best baseball games of all time in my opinion. This is definitely a blast from the past, but this is MLB 2K12. Now, this is the last 2K game to ever come out on video games, and so I really like this because that was back whenever 2K had some rights. I remember playing as the Cardinals. I was a Cardinals fan as a kid since I grew up around Missouri, and so basically I remember pitching with Wainwright and all of these guys, and it was so much fun. It definitely didn't look as good as MLB The Show at the time, but the graphics, they weren't terrible. I mean, it was 2013, so you can't really expect anything crazy out of the graphics department. I mean, I played this game on the Xbox 360, and the big thing that made this game so great for me and so many other people was that it was on Xbox 360. I mean, it was one of the last iconic baseball games to come to Xbox 360, and it was one of the most fun in its time. I had a blast playing with all my favorite players, and that's why it really just made one of these top spots on this list, because I thought it was just so much fun, and I really liked it. You guys know that I had to add Wii Sports to this. Wii Sports was so much fun. Wii Sports Baseball, honestly, it was one of the first baseball games that it was honestly just a blast. I loved every single part about this game because it was just so fun and iconic, and building your own players and playing against your friends and your family. It really just made it so much fun, and it had to make the top 3 of this list, as I can't really think of baseball sports video games without thinking of playing Wii Sports Baseball with my dad, with my cousins and stuff like that, and just friends around the neighborhood. I used to just absolutely ball at this game. I literally would sit in the basement and just play it all day. It was so much fun, and that's why I had to make the top 3, and that's why Wii Sports Baseball is your number 3 game for one of the best baseball games of all. Holy crap, I hope that this picture alone brings you back nostalgia. But Mario Super Sluggers, back in the day, I played this game on the Wii. It was an absolute crazy slugfest. It was just so much fun. It was so arcadey, like a lot of the other games that I liked as a kid. And it was just so crazy because the animations and stuff in this game they were so perfect. And you could play on all sorts of games. There was a nice little level up system. And honestly, there was a lot of gameplay in this game. You could play for hours on this game, start to finish. I remember playing it multiple times growing up, and I thought it was the most fun thing. So I had to put this at the number 2 spot, as I think this is one of the most iconic baseball games ever. It was just so much fun, and I really enjoyed all of it, and I'm so glad that I got to play this game at the time of my childhood that I did. It was just a blast, and I think it's one of the best baseball games ever, as it was just an absolute arcade masterpiece. Nintendo, they knocked it out of the park on this game. It was so much fun. I loved playing as Bowser and all sorts of stuff like that, and whenever I used to nerd out about those things, as well as love baseball, this was one of the best games marketed to kids, as so many kids, they love playing baseball, and even if you didn't love baseball, you could love this game because it was so much fun. For the best baseball video game of all time, I had to give it to Biggs 2. Now, Biggs 2, it was such a big part of my childhood. I loved this game so much. There was just so many amazing things about it, such as the amount of custom ability, and I loved the player engagement you could have. It was kind of like the first kind of road to the show, and you would just build your guy up. You went to that minors, you went to Mexico, and it was such a fun time because the gameplay, it was just so sick. You went from a Mexican league all the way up to the majors and the bigs, and it was just a blast. The animations were perfect. They had modern players in it. I mean, they literally had Albert Pujols as the cover to the first game. It was so much fun, and I loved this game so much because of the animations. It was so cool because of the hot zones and the pitches, and you could kind of organize your bullpen, your starting staff the way that you wanted to. The animations for the home run and the turbos, I thought they made that perfect. and the way the gameplay was, it just made it so much fun. And in my opinion, it was one of the best balances of real-life baseball and arcade fun, making it one of the best baseball games of all time. And that's why, in my opinion, I think it is the best baseball game of all time, as it really just brings back nostalgia. I mean, I loved this game to death. I thought it was so much fun, and I could play this game for hours. Anyways, guys, if you like this video and you want more stuff like this, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and let me know in the comment section below if you like this type of content, as this is kind of a little bit further away from my normal MLB The Show content. We're going to be having a stream tonight, so make sure you're going to be there. It's going to be 7 to 9. I know that I usually stream from 7 to 9 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but today I decided to do it on Monday, as I feel like I kind of missed out on Sunday's stream. So we're going to be playing with viewers. We're going to be playing the new right seasons, grinding for that brand new 99 Willie Mays. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button, hit that sub button, and might be out.